I bought this little Honda S660 from an auction in Japan. I paid the equivalent of £6,600 for it, which seems like a bit of a bargain when you see the price of them online. But as we'll find out, there are a lot of extra costs that you need to add on. And so I'm not entirely sure whether I'd have just been better off trying to buy one here in the UK rather than importing it myself.
The bigger the car gets, the more expensive the shipping cost becomes.
There's also certain things you need to know and hoops you have to jump through in order to be able to legally register and drive an imported car in the United Kingdom. So then, Gav, I take it it's passed?
Unfortunately not, mate.
I'm not even sure that this car that I bought is a good one or a bad one because I only had a few minutes to look at it before I bid on it in the auction in Japan. So this will be the first time I get it on the ramp.
So there is one problem, Matt.
What's more, I haven't even driven it, or any Honda S660 for that matter, so I don't know if I'm even going to like it. This doesn't feel like a particularly quick car.
Well, it is only 64 brake horsepower.
I'm a little bit worried that buying this car might be a bit of a mistake. A few months ago, I went to Japan, and while I was there, I wanted to check out a Japanese car auction. So I got in touch with a chap called Aman from Auto.com Japan, which exports cars from Japan all around the world. Anyway, I got a bit carried away and bid on this little Honda S660 and ended up buying it. Auto.com Japan managed everything from transporting it to the port in Japan to shipping it to the UK. I'll break down the costs and how they handle the whole process so you don't even need to go to Japan yourself later in the video. But what happens once your car arrives in the UK? I've come to My Car Import in Derbyshire. Now they're the largest processor of privately imported vehicles in the UK. They do 3,000 vehicles a year and they're going to be getting my car road ready so I can drive it legally in the UK. This is Gavin Heward, the workshop manager at My Car Import. He'll be responsible for getting my S660 road registered. But first, we need to see if the car I have bought is a Minter or a Lemon. Let's get it on the ramp. To me, it looks almost like it's new, not like it's done 60,000 miles.
No, it's absolutely perfect, to be honest.
What about these bolts? I mean, look.
They're all like new, even all the subframe, everything about it, the steering rack boots, even down to the brake calipers themselves. And a lot of cars that come in from Japan, they all normally have brand new suspension on them, even though it doesn't need it. That's just the way they do things out there. I
feel like I've bought a great car, but you're saying to me that this is normal.
For a Japanese car, this is normal.
The rubbers, on here are really good, you know.
Yeah.
100,000 kilometres, but every bit of rubber just looks great.
It will be, yeah. I mean, all these brake pins, these will be removed and re-greased. In the UK, you don't get to see these things. Servicing levels are a little bit different as well, so again, it's nice to see.
And these pipes here, are these the...
They're all your air conditioning pipes.
No corrosion on them at all.
No, absolutely nothing.
And the belts, look, the belt's like new. And
yeah.
Are the Japanese really fastidious with their servicing as well?
They love it.
And this is one of the great things about importing a car from Japan is that really the condition is going to be better than the equivalent in the UK.
Correct, yes. So there is one problem, Matt, that I'd like to tell you about is the underseal on the car. Nothing too major. As you can see, there is stone chip on the floor pan, but that's normally about the only place that they put it. Everywhere else is normally exposed. As you can see, just up here, there isn't any. Yes, it's coated with a little bit of paint, but as you can see, right on the corner edge just here, it's just starting to get a little bit of surface corrosion. Again, nothing major, but if you catch it now, get it undersealed, you're good. Because otherwise, if I drive this in the UK over winter, it's not going to look like this for much longer. No, it won't look nothing like that. Japanese cars don't often have as much underseal as European ones from the factory. Reason being, in Japan, they don't salt their roads like we do in Europe, and salt causes corrosion. No salt, less need for underseal. And it's why when I bought my Suzuki Jimny, I chose to add some extra underseal to it, so I knew it would be more likely to rust than an equivalent European model. Anyway, maybe I'll do the same treatment to my S660. But as the car's looking good so far, let's see if it's actually safe to use on the road. One of the key things I need to be able to drive this car on the road in the UK is an MOT. Unfortunately, they can do MOTs here at My Car Import. So we're going to put it through the test and hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll pass. The MOT is an annual vehicle safety, roadworthiness and emissions inspection required for most vehicles over 3 years old. When you're buying a used car in the UK, it's always worthwhile going on the government website and checking the past MOT history. You can look at reasons for if it's failed in the past, find any advisories, so things that need to get fixed that
you probably want to look into. And you can also look at the past mileage for each MOT that was carried out, so you can use that to vouch the car's current mileage. Really, really handy. So this is the past MOT history for my Porsche 911 996. Unfortunately, there isn't a similar history for the Honda S660 for me to check, because obviously it's fresh off the boat. That doesn't mean though that it hasn't got a similar history. In Japan, the similar test is called the Shaken, and it's done every 2 years. It's actually much stricter, with testers checking almost every nut and bolt on the car. Unfortunately, there's no centralised online system for the Schenken like there is with the MOT. So even if I understood Japanese, it would be very hard for me to check all the past history of the Schenkens for my S660. Hopefully, everything will be okay. So what are we going to do now, Gav?
So basically what we're going to do, this part of the MOT is testing the suspension and the steering. Basically here at my car import we use the ATL, which means that we don't need a second man inside the vehicle.
Waggling steering wheels.
Waggling steering wheels, yeah, that's a thing of the past for us. Everything's automated, all on the remote. To do the suspension, checking all the bushes, ball joints and everything like that, we press that button which switches the motor on, and then we press this button, where as you can see, side to side motion. All we're looking out for there is any excess movement that obviously shouldn't be there. And then the second one that we do is then for the steering, all the steering joints. So that one, we press this button. Now as you can see, it's moving the steering. So now I can check everything there. So what I'll do is go underneath it now.
Let's find out if it's all good. How's it looking?
In all honesty, absolutely perfect. It's
Really?
exactly as I expected it to be. There's no playing any of the joints. Honestly, it is like new.
Result. Gav got on with the rest of the test. The brakes were spot on, the emissions were amazing, and all the lights worked as they should and were properly aligned. The car appeared to be flying through its MOT. So then, Gav, I take it it's passed?
Unfortunately not, mate.
What? He was doing really well. What's going on?
To be honest, I could have told you it would fail before I even brought it in. There's no fog light fitted to the vehicles that come from Japan.
Oh, let's have a look.
So we've got no switch on in the dashboard.
Yeah.
And obviously on the back, you'd normally be a location somewhere for a fog light. Now, the fog light in the UK has to be either central,
yeah,
or to the offside, which is the right-hand side of the vehicle. We have a reflector, not a problem, but normally we'll have a fog light somewhere located around here.
But don't they have fog in Japan?
Well, they have fog around the world, but no, they don't need fog lights as standard.
And why do I need to fit this with a fog light now? What's the reason?
Well, the reason being is if we put this through for an IVA now, it will fail for not having a fog light fitted.
We've got to fit one.
We're going to fit one.
The IVA test, or individual vehicle approval, is for imported cars not sold in Europe, and it ensures they meet UK standards. Unlike the MOT, which checks for roadworthiness, the IVA focuses on compliance with UK and EU laws. For example, with the MOT, you check the tread depth and condition of the tyres, whereas for the IVA, the tester is merely looking for an E mark on the tyres to make sure they meet UK regulations. Right, and let's check the tyres then, Gav. So
what we're looking for, Matt, is one of three stampings on the tyre. One is a DOT, one is a E mark, and the other one is a JIS mark. Either one of them three will do the job. So this corner, as you can see, you've got a dot mark there. So this tyre is absolutely fine.
Good.
Again, we look around the circumference of the tyre. So we've got an E marking and we've got a dot marking. So we've got both on this side.
They're the same.
They're exactly
tyre?
the same brand, exactly the same tyre.
And size?
Everything's the same.
Okay, but it's good. That's a double pass.
That's all good. So onto the offside front.
Yeah.
We've got an E marking on this one, but we haven't got a dot marking.
But it doesn't matter, we've got the E.
Doesn't matter, we've got the E.
Good.
So that's all good.
So what we got on this one?
So then on this one, what we're looking for, same three.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can't see it properly, but there isn't one.
So some we've got two, some we've got one, and this one we've got none.
None, zero.
It's the same blooming tyre,
It's exactly the same tyre. So unfortunately, this one will fail the IVA unless we change it. Gav said this sometimes happens with cars from Japan, as tyre sellers there sometimes have access to tyres which are earmarked for export to places which don't require E-markings. I actually didn't know what tyres were on the car, and I didn't check them before I bought it, so I thought I better play it safe and order some in advance, and obviously I thought I should get some Japanese tyres for my Japanese car, so I went for some Yokohamas. I've actually had Yokohamas on my Mazda MX-5, really like them, so I thought they'd be great for the Honda. Funnily enough, it's actually got Yokohamas on it right now, but it's a really good job that I have these tyres with the all-important markings to get it through the IVA. We were about to get the new tyres fitted, and then something happened. What we're going to do now is remove the tyres. We're going to fit the new ones. I'm actually going to have a go at it. I've never done it before, and I thought it'd be a bit of fun. The main tyre we need to remove first, get that one done, and we may as well put the new ones on as well. Hold on, Matt. Found an E-marking.
What?
It's the first time I've ever seen it on the inside. This is perfectly compliant. So the IVA test will always look on both the outer and the inner side of the tyre.
Absolute madness.
So, yeah.
Should we put it back on then? Because these tyres actually look pretty good. It seems like a bit of a waste not to use them.
They are, yeah, that's absolutely fine.
There you go. So we decided to put the old tyre back on and I returned the other new ones to save some money. And then we cracked on with the one change we definitely had to do, installing the fog lamp. Hopefully it would be a simple job. So Gav, how do we go about fitting the fog lamp?
Well, on this vehicle, we've got three options. The first one is to use the headlamp fuse, which we'll test in a moment to see if we've got a nice 12-volt signal there that doesn't work on side lights and will only work on the dip beam and the main beam. Now, if that doesn't work, we can use front fog lights because that's perfectly okay with the IVA manual. Correct? We haven't got any on your vehicle.
That's a no-go.
That's a no-go straight away. Third option is to go into the CAN bus system. Now, this is where you don't want to go really, unless you really, really have to. Mainly because the feed that goes down to there isn't a constant feed, it's more of a signal. So the control module inside the vehicle will send a signal down to the headlamp. The headlamp will go, yes, brilliant, I'll switch the headlamp on. Nightmare, you don't want to touch it.
So are there any cars that you've worked on that have that problem where you have to do it through the CAN bus?
It is, yeah, Toyota Priuses. So we're going to test yours in a moment and let's hope we don't have to go down that route.
First, we needed to locate the main headlamp fuse and check the voltage. There should be no voltage when the lights are off or just on side lights. However, you do want voltage when the lights are on dipped or main beam, since that's when the fog light should operate. Will the Honda work as we hope?
So we've got side lights.
Okay, no, it hasn't changed.
Dip.
12
Good news.
volts.
That's perfect. And then main.
Yep.
And I want that voltage to stay there as well.
Yep,
Is
voltage
that staying,
is there.
that's staying voltage? Perfect.
Does that mean that we can do the easy cheap system?
That's the easy cheap system.
Result? Next, Gav measured a wire longer than the car and threaded it through the bulkhead with a tube, being careful not to damage the wire loom or the dash. He then added a piggyback fuse for the fog lamp into the headlamp fuse slot. He secured the wiring with cable ties and fitted a surround to make sure it's protected from the elements. For the IVA test, he needs to fix the wiring every 30 centimetres to prevent it rubbing and then chafing, as that's a common cause for car fires. And there were a few more rules he needed to follow as well.
Right, so basically for the IVA, switch has to be visible from the driver's position. Luckily on this one, we've got a traction control button down here. I've also got a blank here, which I've already removed.
Oh, that's the
which
place.
I've taken off. So because I can see it from the driver's view, then that's okay to fit. These two you do have to drill into the dashboard, but we're not doing that today. We can fit one of these ones. I mean, this one will need to be trimmed down a touch.
Ah, that's not bad.
We can make that one work.
Okay, good. Gav trimmed the switch, fitted it into the dash panel and wired it up. After connecting an earth and testing it, he ran the output wire to the back, hiding it under the interior trim. He carefully worked it through the rear bulkhead, following the car's wiring route to keep it tidy for the IVA test. A few cable ties later, it was ready for the fog lamp. So we've got the all-important fog lamp fitted. So what will the IVA tester be looking for with this?
The correct markings, E marking, and then an F mark or a B mark.
Is that why we didn't put a light in here or in here? Because while I can see some E marks, there's no F or Bs.
That's right, yeah. And also the fog light has to be more than 100 millimeters away from the lighting surface of a brake light. So even if the brake light bulb is here and it emits light around this part of the lamp unit, it has to be still more than 100 millimeters away from that the lit surface.
However, I'm not going to lie to you, that doesn't look great.
So when the vehicle's registered,
yep,
you can make things more aesthetically pleasing as long as it emits for the MOT the correct amount of light, which is normally in conjunction with the brightness of a brake light, and that's the kind of brightness that an MOT tester is looking for.
So once you've done the IVA and it's past that, forget about that, it's box ticked. All you have to think about is passing an MOT then.
It is, yes.
That's madness. All we had to do now was test it. Right then, Gav, let's see if you fit it correctly. So Adam's going to tell us if the light comes on. First thing I'm going to do is just turn on the switch. We have the ignition on, and now I just need to rotate the light switch. Ready? So it shouldn't come on with the side lights on.
No, it's not on.
Good. And now it should come on with the headlights on.
No, it's not on.
Well, let me just put full beam.
No, it's not on.
You lying? It's not on.
It's actually not on.
It's not on.
What the hell?
Have we got a faulty switch?
No, I think
you tested the switch.
Lamp. Yeah, we did all that.
This is not supposed to happen. Thankfully, because Gav had previously checked the circuit at the switch, he could identify the issue as being the fog lamp itself. Are you going to fit a new light?
No, what somebody's gone and done is they've put the wiring on the wrong way around. I know exactly what they've done now. So yeah, somebody's used the live as the earth. That'll be the apprentice. Little
After a bit more work rewiring, it was time to try again. Okay, take two. So once again, I've got the ignition on. I'll just turn the switch on. Lamps off, so it should be off. It's off. Side lights should be off. And the fog lamp should come on now with the headlights on.
No.
Right, let me try. Main beam, not on. You are definitely lying this time. Yeah. Classic Adam. We got it working. Good. So that's that done then, isn't it? And now we've got to move on to the next thing.
Speedo.
Speedo. Japanese cars use kilometres an hour, but we need miles per hour for the UK. With analog dials, this switch is simple. You just replace the clock face with one showing MPH, like these for a Land Rover Evoque. However, it gets more complicated with a digital speedo, like on this Honda. So there's two options. Now the first and cheapest is to have a little digital display which is wired into the OBD port, sits up there on the dash and it will read your speed in miles an hour. However, you'll have your clock showing kilometres an hour and your odometer will be in kilometres as well. A better and more expensive solution is to have this special box here which can convert the feed from the CAN bus from kilometres an hour into miles an hour, but you then have to have it married up to the clocks which have to be sort of reprogrammed and rewired to accept this feed so that they'll actually display the speed in miles an hour, though you do have to add a little sticker to say that you are looking at MPH. The beauty of this, as well as being able to use the normal clocks, the odometer will be in miles. Car is just over 100,000 kilometres, so when we turn it on and wire it up, it should actually read about 60,000 miles or so. Let's find out if it works. Gav spliced in the converter box to the CAN bus and then refitted the speedo. Before screwing in the rest of the instruments around, we needed to check it worked. Hopefully, it would. Right, and Gav, moment of truth. We've got, yes, 62,000 miles, but we do have a check engine light.
The dashboard's been out.
Okay, okay, good, all right.
Let's build it up and then take it for a little road test.
Okay. Then it was just a case of replacing the last bits of trim and testing the dials read the speed correctly. The IVA testers could ask to put the car on a rolling road to check it if they sense it's not been done right. Okay, we're in the car and we're going to test this speedo out. So I've got an app on my phone which uses GPS to measure the car speed in miles an hour. Gav, you're going to drive down here at about 10, 20 miles an hour. See if that agrees to that. Away you go. Yeah, 12, saying 11. So that is about 1 mile an hour over this, which is what you want, isn't it, for the test?
It's about what you'd expect, to be honest. It will never be 100%. Obviously, you're picking up the GPS, so, but yeah, more than happy with that.
Now, isn't it the case, if the speed on the speedometer is exactly the same as the actual speed, then it's a failure?
Yeah, there is a discrepancy in the speed, and on the speed rollers that we will put it through on the test, the IVA test will be able to see what the actual speed is to what the speed rollers are saying.
Speaking of speed, tell you the truth, this doesn't feel like a particularly quick car.
Well, it is only 64 brake horsepower.
With the car MOT'd and now ready for its IVA test, the last thing to do was a quick oil and filter change. I asked Gav to take an oil sample so I could send it away for analysis to make sure the engine is in good condition. Now I'll be getting the results later in the video. We did that oil and filter change just as a matter of caution. Don't know whether we needed to. However, I have found these stickers here inside the car which have some information and some kind of kilometres written on them, and they relate to oils and stuff. I'm actually going to speak to someone who might know what all this means. Let's see how well I can fit this roof. Oh. Guess I've got to learn. It's so not in there. There's probably a better technique like rolling it across, but it's easy. I can't believe that's the roof done. Like, I feel like there needs to be a central bit. No?
No,
What's this? No, there is.
Is there?
What is this? What was there? Don't you feel like there's something that goes there? That's not right.
A few moments later.
There's something, it's not got Honda written on it or anything, but that's the only thing that's
That is
down
it.
there. That'll look about right.
Hey, we have the part. Da-da. That's better. Now it's done. Wasn't as easy as I thought, eh? Right then, that's all the bits back together again. We've done all the mods we need to for the IVA.
Correct, yeah.
And so we're going to get it tested.
On Monday.
Brilliant. Can we film that?
Not allowed to, unfortunately.
Oh, a government thing then,
It
right?
is.
Okay, so you can get that done,
Yep.
and then we're going to get the car delivered to me, and then we'll have to wait for a bit to get all the paperwork.
Yeah, it's normally around 2 weeks. Normal plates get allocated and all the paperwork sorted, and it's UK road legal.
And then I can get and drive it. So I'm actually going to have a couple of other things done to it, so look out for that. It's coming shortly in the video. But for now, Gav, thank you very much
problem
for
at all.
all your hard work. Really appreciate
It's been
it.
good.
I left the S660 with my car import for its IVA test and contacted a man from Autocom Japan, which helped me buy the car because we'd noticed there was something missing. Normally when you buy a car in the UK, we'll have the manual with it and you'll look to have like service history, but I didn't find any of that in the car.
When they put their cars into the auction, they remove all these belongings. They will ship it later. I got some manual books and some papers for you, which I will be sending them to you very soon.
Well, that's interesting because I did notice a sticker. It looks like something to do with like servicing.
The white one is about the transmission oil. The owner changed the transmission oil at around 95,000 kilometers. The previous owner was changing every 40,000 kilometers, usually done at 80,000 kilometers, so he was keeping it better condition. And the second sticker is about engine oil change, done at 99,000 kilometers.
I actually noticed when I was looking around the car, all the parts seem to be like genuine Honda parts.
I found out that this guy went to the Honda shop. He had the full package servicing and had everything done at Honda. And every 12 months, sometimes more regularly, they keep it well maintained, in good shape.
In such good condition. I'm really, really pleased with it actually. So do you know anything else about the other owners of the car?
There were 3 previous owners. First purchase was done in 2016 November. Next owners were after 2022.
One of the things that I find interesting is that you do it all pretty much online. So you're not going to see the cars. How can you tell the quality of the car that you're bidding on?
Japanese auto auctions are known for their reliability. We read through the auction report of the car. We make sure that whatever customer gets is in best condition.
So that's very different to like a UK auction. A UK auction, you go along, you have a look at the car and it's basically on you. Whereas in Japan, you have like experts going over the cars and giving you a full report so thorough that you can just trust that and it's all good.
There's an important point. To be able to access all these Japanese auto auctions, you must be a company registered in Japan. They don't have access to these all auctions. They must go through reliable companies like Autocom Japan so that they will be able to browse and choose cars from auto auctions. You don't have to come to Japan. Just sit in your armchair in UK and just pick the car and we will handle the rest. We have exported more than 940,000 cars overseas, shipping cars anywhere in the world. So apart from our main markets like Kenya, Mozambique, Tanzania, Zambia, Jamaica, we are also sending tons of cars to USA, Canada, Australia, UK, Ireland, Malta, Cyprus.
I was quite surprised at the cost. For my car, it was like just 400 quid.
This is all due to our big amount we are handling every month. Regarding the shipping, the bigger the car gets, the more expensive the shipping cost becomes.
So mine was quite a small car, so I think mine was £700, and that's for shipping it from the port in Japan to the port in the UK, and that's all of that stuff. There is one problem with all of this, Aman, and I think you've probably made it far too easy for me to import some other cars from Japan, because I quite fancy a Toyota Century. Maybe that's for another time. Now listen, if you're thinking about importing a car from Japan, check out Autocom Japan. Okay, I've put a link in the description to this video and the pinned comment. Alternatively, just scan the QR code there. Use your mobile phone, it'll take you directly there. And I've also got a link in the pop-out banner. Listen, man, thank you very much for your help getting the S660 and for sorting out all the information on it as well. Really enjoyed it. A few days later, I got a message on my phone that my S660 had passed its IVA test. All I had to do now was wait for the registration paperwork to come through the post. In the meantime, my car import delivered the car to me, and I was pleased to see some cool changes. Let me show you this. It's a bit silly, but it's also a bit of fun. So I've got myself a personalised number plate, and it works really well with the square Japanese plate. Here's Matt. Another thing I need to show you is this. So if I go in here and I turn on the lights all the way on, remember, go down here, turn on that fog lamp. What we have now is a fog lamp that is hidden. Look, so it's in there, shines brightly through that gap. So we replaced the reversing light bulb, got that bulb in there so we don't have to have the exposed fog lamp here at the back. Just looks a lot neater, and that should pass the MOT, which is good news. I'll tell you what else is good news. So I had that oil sample back that I took and it's all clear. So the car is in good condition. Don't need to worry about that. Also, I don't need to worry so much about the salty roads in the UK because Gav did me a favour and undersealed the car, which is really handy. However, there is one small problem. My registration papers still hadn't come through on the car yet, so I can't actually drive it on the road. That'll be for another video, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Finally though, let's find out how much this little Honda S660 has cost me in total, and will it work out cheaper than buying one that's already here in the UK. You know, I said at the beginning of the video, this car cost me £6,600. Got that wrong because I used the wrong exchange rate. It actually came to £6,358. Then there was Autocom Japan's fee of £404. Shipping, that was £700. VAT and import duty, that was £1,542. There. Finally, my car imports fee, which includes everything from them picking it up from the port, getting it converted for UK road use, putting it through the IVA, the MOT, and getting it road registered, plus 6 months road tax, came to £1,833. That means that the total cost of my little Honda S660 is £10,837. So was it worth it? Well, this car is so rare. There are only a few online, but most are automatics, which I didn't want. The only manual I saw, it's more expensive. So then, not only did I make a decent saving by personally importing this little Honda S660 myself, I also had more choice. You see, there's 50 of them up for auction every single day in Japan, and half of those are manuals. So I was able to find the right car to meet my needs and my budget. And I'll tell you what, I'm just so happy with it. It's cute and unique. I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you did, give it a like. If you'd like me to import another car from Japan, give me some suggestions in the comments. I'll read through them and it'll give me inspiration because do you know what? I think I've got the bug for it now. Speaking of which, huge thanks to Autocom Japan and My Car Import for making this all possible. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to this channel because very shortly I'm going to upload a full in-depth video review and road test of my little Honda S660. And there'll probably be another video in the future as well about me tuning it. Anyway, thanks for watching.